Yo, Eric, we're over here on the Paranormal Hunt, and I headed over to this other building, and it's number 13. I was just telling Ron, my God.
All right. It's a Monday. Oh, God, it's a Monday. We got Anthony from Unidentified S4. We got Wayne from Paranormal Odyssey. I know some of you guys in the chat thinking, God, Ron grew a beard during his move. No, that's not Ron. That's Wayne from Paranormal Odyssey. We're going to talk some paranormal today. You know, it's funny. Oh, Anthony, I should have told you it's kind of funny. I told you my nephew he finally got out of the military, him and his buddies. He had another buddy that got out of the military. They're at my house yesterday. And I go, hey, why you guys are in the military? Because one was in the Navy, one was in the Army. And my nephew he did medical in the Navy, but he also did it on a Marine base. Okay. So he actually had to do a Marine boot camp along with his Navy boot camp to be able to work on the Marine base. So I go, hey, have you two ever leaked information to Jeremy Corbell?
God forbid.
on all the stuff you've seen? And this is what they said to me. Who's that?
Yeah. Thank God.
They didn't even know who Jeremy Corbell was. Oh, he's the Fox News CNN guy that's supposed to know. He gets all the leaks from the military on the UFOs. Oh. They didn't even know who he was. Young people truly, really, the younger generation really do not watch CNN, Fox News. It's the older people. So it didn't surprise me that they didn't even know who this guy was. But good news, they're not leaking stuff.
Did you ask if they knew who George Knapp was?
You know what? I did not. Oh, if they don't know who this guy is, I'm sure they don't know who
George Knapp is. Do they watch Paranormal Highway, your nephews?
They know I'm here. They know I exist. But
just in case
they watch,
just in case they're watching, I made this for them, just so they know who they are. They lead the circus. That's who these guys are. Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp leading the circus. That's who they are.
But it's just fun. It was just fun actually, asking literally military people. And one was actually his friend name's Eric. Actually has my name. He's actually been on submarines and stuff and all that, and been underwater and all that. And nobody's leaking anything to civilians, just so people know. If they leak stuff to civilians, they will lose everything.
Yeah. They get jammed up big time.
Yeah, because I didn't know this now. When they get out of the military, part of the GI Bill is they actually pay for their apartment for 2 years. I didn't know that now. I'm going, man, that's pretty cool. Oh, wow. I'm like, really? I'm like, wow. And of course, if you go to college, they pay part of the college and they pay you to go, which we all know. I knew they do that, but I didn't know that they actually take care of your apartment for a couple of years. It makes sense, right? Because once you get out, it's not like you got a job anymore, right? To get your foot wet. I mean, that's kind of cool. That's really cool.
Who is that? What branches do that?
All the military now with the GI Bill. I don't know if it has to be a certain amount of years because they've been in there past 6 years. I know there's contracts for 2 years, 4 years. I don't know if it's past 6 years because when I got out, I was never offered them to pay for housing and all that. That while I'm in there, they did, but not when I got out. But mine was 1997 when I got out, so that was a long time ago. God, I feel so old. Well, in the paranormal world, I don't know. Have you guys ever heard of the Snedeker House, known as the haunting in Connecticut?
Snedeker House.
Snedeker,
Yes.
is that how you pronounce it? No, I have not.
I mean,
No,
there's of course, there's a movie called The Haunting in Connecticut, which really wasn't a good movie.
Yeah.
But here, I got a couple of videos of them explaining about this. It's one of the, it's probably in the top 5 of haunted houses, like Amityville Horror. Oh, I mean, talk about like folklore stories and all that. You know, if it's real or not. Here, let me play a video. Let me get. Okay, haunting. Let me see here. Which one? Not that one. Which one am I going to show first? I got. They all have like the same name. Oh, Snedeker Family. So let me see here. Is it this one? Is it this one? I think it's this one. Here we go.
What you are about to hear is the true story of the Snedeker family haunting, aka the haunting in Connecticut, aka the haunting in Southington, Connecticut. All this content is credited to TonySparrow.com, aka NESPR, New England Society for Psychical Research.com, the Warrens' original website. Without further ado, let's jump right into things. The Snedeker family. In 1986, the Snedeker family, Alan and Carmen, and their 3 sons, daughter, and 2 nieces moved into a simple white duplex rental home in Southington, Connecticut, that had at one time been a funeral home. In the basement, they found various mortuary items, including a hoisting apparatus for coffins, a medical gurney, blood drains, and toe tags. Soon enough, the Snedekers were reporting all kinds of evil, including sexual attacks, apparitions, and abrupt violent personality changes in their oldest son, who was undergoing treatment for Hodgkin's disease. Possessed? After the family reached desperation, they didn't know where to turn. They reached out to Ed and Lorraine Warren and begged them to investigate their home. The Warrens investigated the house and officially proclaimed it possessed, and that the home was infested with demons and evil spirits. This is supposedly a true haunting. The images you are looking at right now are images of the home as it sits today in Southington, Connecticut. What's your opinion? Fact or fiction? Was this home possessed? Was it exorcised? It's up to you to tell. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And as always, stay tuned.
So basically, a family moved in, and this home was used at one time as, like they said, a funeral home, whatever, where they bring dead bodies to. And apparently it was haunted. They had sexual attacks. That a son that was sick with something. Possession supposedly happened. But now, before them moved in, nothing was ever reported. And of course, after they moved out, nothing's ever was reported. I think I got another one kind of like, almost just like this one. I like to hear multiple different kind of stories. Let me see. Is this the same one? Let me make sure it's not.
Sure about.
Yeah, that one's the same one. Give me a second. I have another one. Is it here? Why do I keep accidentally putting on the same one, or do they all start the same?
Maybe the image just shows.
Here we go. Evergreen. Yeah. The Haunting Connecticut True Story.
There you go.
Here I am in front of the house that Alan and Carmen Snedeker moved into in 1986. They rented the home to live in it with their daughter and their 3 sons. After living in it for a short period of time, they found some weird paraphernalia in the basement, only to find out that this home used to be a funeral home. After that, they started discovering weird noises in the house, seeing weird things, and they began to be haunted by demonic activity. In fact, they described one of the demons being long black hair and black eyes, another one with white hair and white eyes, wearing a pinstripe tuxedo. Ed and Lorraine Warren began to investigate this. They're ones that had investigated the Amityville Horror, and they declared that yes, indeed, this is a haunted house. They wrote a book about it, and that book in 2009 was turned into a movie called The Haunting in Connecticut. Is this an urban legend, or is this the truth? Is this a real haunted house? Well, as I started thinking about it, I started wondering, if you're living in a haunted house, that you're renting. You don't own this, but you're renting it, and you start experiencing demonic activity that's terrifying you and your family, would you just stay there, or would you move on?
Before I play further, that's actually a good question. It's not like you own the house. When you own a house, you're kind of like invested in it, and it's just not as easy to pick up and leave. But if you're renting the house, would you, both of you get the hell out of there if something's really been haunting it?
Absolutely.
No way. I would say.
No, I'd get the hell out.
Yeah, I would want the evidence, man. It's not very often you get.
I love it. I love it. You would stay. You would go. So Wayne, why would you go? Would you not want to investigate it, or you're like, screw that?
I like talking about this shit, but experiencing it, I've said many times on Paranormal Odyssey, I interviewed a lot of paranormal investigators. One thing that has stopped me from doing this is my fear of something latching on to me and me taking it home to my family. I'm terrified of that. There's no way I would stay in an environment like that. That's just me, though.
But Anthony, you would stay?
Yeah, I would stay till I figured it out. It wouldn't bother me. I would want to figure it out. Maybe if I had little kids in the house with me, that'd be a different story. But if I had the house to myself and I was just renting it out, I would probably stay till I figured out what was going on.
That's a good point. If you're by yourself, or just maybe you and your wife and your kids are not there, you don't feel like they're in harm's way.
Right.
Yeah, that's different. When you have kids, you're a parent first, and
kids, different story.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So because I would love it. Shit, I was loving it when Anthony and I feel like we were getting demonic voices during the show. We were loving it. I remember when I asked something to move, I was laughing about it because I'm like, yes, finally. But we're psycho. We're psychotic.
How often do you get a nice house like that all to yourself that could very well, be one of the best hauntings known to man you could have right there, I would have to get as much research done as possible.
I've been interviewing a lot of psychic mediums lately, and one thing that I've been getting from them is this ability. Everyone seems to agree that small children, have this. We all have this ability when we're born, and as we get older, we kind of lose it. Bleach is thrown on it, kind of. I've got a 20-month-old daughter, and right where I'm sitting at now in my studio, there's nothing down on this end other than the garage. My daughter will run down this hall and stand here in front of my studio and just look up and talk. And sometimes every time she'll run back. Most times she's run back giggling and stuff, but there's been times she's run back afraid. And it just freaks me out. I don't know if she's seeing something down here. Like, what is her reason for running down here on this side of the house, nowhere else, and just hanging out and talking to stuff that's not there?
Yeah, they say kids are they can see things more than we can.
Yeah,
their minds are still growing. They're so they're just more alert in a lot of different ways. And I don't know if this part's true that ghosts themselves feel more comfortable showing themselves to kids because they're less harmful than a grown-up or humans. We don't know what's exactly true or not.
Yeah.
But I got one more video about this haunted Connecticut of this. I'd like to hear different people talk about it just to see if there's something that we miss to get a fully understanding of this place. And here's this one.
John Zappis. John Zappis did spend an extended amount of time at that house and did experience what he felt was true paranormal types of activity. Looking forward to finding out his take on his investigation and how this whole thing progressed in his own mind. The character who was really portraying you seemed to have been under some kind of psychic pressure from this entity. Did anything like that happen to you?
Carmen and Al would be sleeping in their bed. I had a mattress on the floor. And Carmen would go into these deep paralysis. We call it phantomania. It's when a person can't move, they can't reach out, they can't talk to you, nothing whatsoever. There were two different occasions where
Hey, real quick, I want to pause for a second because Anthony, you talked about having that experience where you couldn't move, and I talked about having that when some reason it always happens to me on camping trips. Don't know why, don't know if it's the area, but that happens to me. Now, of course, science and all that says one thing, and I don't know. This is not. I don't think you can explain it 100% by science. And people, these are the real people that lived in that house.
I experienced things at the same time she was. I was getting pulled right into wherever this was taking her. Carmen, Al, John, the two other researchers, her two nieces, Ed and Lorraine Warrens. There wasn't anyone that got involved that did not experience something or had something occur afterwards. You don't forget those types of things when you go through them.
What did you see that was not portrayed quite accurately in the movie or differently?
Her son did not break the walls open and bodies come tumbling out.
The movie depicted a much different story than what really happens. There were no bodies in the wall. There was no family that was having seances and trying to raise the dead. There was no ectoplasm. There were no eyelids in a box.
There are no known stories about cadaver mutilation made for a good movie, but really did not match up with real life.
There was a reality to the haunting in Connecticut, just a little bit different than how the movie portrayed it.
I'm shocked to see Richard Dolan here. He's a UFO guy. He's a ufologist. I didn't know he got into the paranormal aspect of things. That's a first.
Yeah. Oh, first of all, I want to say anybody who watched the Jeff Harding story about his Bigfoot encounter on Saturday. Hope you guys who watched it, hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it. This person, the known boss, Marty, is my next one for this Saturday. She got with me on Friday. We recorded her, and her story, her encounter, her Bigfoot encounter is really awesome too. So that'll be this Saturday. I just want to give her a shout out. If somebody in the chat, Eric, do a tune about it. He's what he's talking about is the cartoon. And just so people know in the chat, I already have 2 cartoons done. And I decided the first one to launch will be April 1st. And I actually already have 2 cartoons done, people. So there's already 2 in the bag. So they're coming. They're coming. I just wanted to wait to spring to start the new season. So, and Anthony saw both those cartoons, and I think
they look great.
He likes the direction it kind of went. It's a little crazier. There's some maybe multiverse that's involved in it. I'm not trying to give it away. There's a person in it with 2 women, 2 alien women in bed in it too. So a little more crazier and all that. Yeah. So guys, let me ask you guys this now. Now, of course, you heard that last video. What they said in the movie never really happened there, but we all know movies exaggerate on purpose because they want to sell popcorn and tickets, and all that. But because it was a house where they brought, dead bodies to, and it's not like they died there. So this might be a weird question. When you die, right? We all believe your energy goes somewhere. Hopefully a good place, hopefully not the bad place, or sometimes energy stays where it's at. So just for example, if I died outside on my street and they took my body to one of these places, do we think our energy follows the body still, or do we think maybe the energy is left where you died at? I mean, we don't know the answers, but Wayne, what do you think? What happens to your energy when we die?
No, that's a great question because I've wondered that myself. Like, if the house that I'm in now, say it's haunted by the owner, say the owner died in the hospital, would the owner haunt the hospital or haunt this house? I've wondered that myself. That's a great question. I don't know.
That's exactly my point, because nobody died technically in that house. So we're like, well, can the haunting be you know what I mean? Like Amityville Horror, people died in that house. They got shot. But if you bring a dead body, does the energy follow the dead body?
I don't know. That's a great question.
I would assume that the spirit could go anywhere that it wants after it dies. I don't think it would just
because
I don't think it would just be stuck in one spot, because it's dead. Once it figures out, it can come and go as it pleases. I think then it does what it wants.
To the place that it's more comfortable, like the home.
By its family. Yeah, sure, right. They also say that, the spirit doesn't go to heaven or whatever until it finishes its job here on Earth. So maybe that's why, it might be stuck in certain locations until it's done with its mission here on Earth, and then it may ascend to heaven, hell, purgatory, wherever it's going for eternity.
You see, we've got a lot of people that have abilities in our chat today. I found every time I bring something from my mom's house, it's good. It's good. It's okay. It's got bad energies. I got to remember to cleanse it more often. Okay. So Angel Wings brings actually, if you guys didn't see that interview we did with her, people get demonic possession by her.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Angel Wings.
Ain't clear.
Me and Anthony, I think we know that firsthand now.
Love you, Angel Wings. Please don't possess me.
Angel Wings, yes, you can use sage to clean yourself before you go home. Okay, because some houses, like you said, are haunted. Now we learned that the people didn't die there; they actually died at the hospital. You're right. So that means, or on the way to the hospital. So that energy had to travel. But of course, we also learned that bad energy of a death still stays in that same place where they actually died. So I guess we never know.
Yeah, but these are all these prisons and stuff that are haunted. Just because if the person died in prison, it seems like once their spirit is free, they'd go to where they want to go. They don't want to hang out in the prison.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say cemeteries are haunted, and those people didn't die there. They died everywhere else. So if it's haunted, and if it's from the person that's there, that means that energy had to follow the body.
Yeah. I'm not smart enough for all this.
It really, truly makes you think. Now, where is it here? Now, we know, Anthony, you live in New York right now. There is a haunted a cemetery that's in the Evergreen, and actually have a video of this haunted cemetery that, Anthony, you might be able to check out yourself.
Which one?
Here. Haunted History, Evergreen Cemetery.
Evergreen Cemetery.
North of Owego, New York, you will find a narrow road that snakes its way up the side of a steep hill and past the many marble monuments of Evergreen Cemetery. Located at the highest point in the cemetery, a stone obelisk towers over the historic village of Owego far below. This monument marks the final resting place of Sasana Loft, a Mohawk Indian maiden.
She was a very enthusiastic and dedicated convert to Christianity, and she spread the gospel to people in this area. She came on the train, and there was a tragic train crash. She was killed. And the people of Owego were very saddened and touched by the loss. And so the people of Owego raised money to erect a beautiful obelisk in her memory. One thing that's interesting about that, though, is that Sasana's family did not really want her to stay in Owego. They wanted to bring her body home. The people of Owego opposed that. They wanted to put up the obelisk and keep her there, and they succeeded.
Visitors from far and wide still come to visit Sasana Loft's monument and to leave tokens at her graveside. However, travelers of the living might not be the only ones who make the pilgrimage to pay their respects. It is said that shortly after her interment under the obelisk, visitors to Sasana Loft's grave could hear the singing of Mohawk people in soft voices coming from the surrounding woods. Do the spirits of Sasana Loft's ancestors still come to comfort the young maiden who died so far from home? Perhaps, if you find yourself in Evergreen Cemetery on a cool fall evening and listen closely, you might also hear the songs of the Mohawk carried on the breeze as it rustles through the nearby trees. For those who want to experience this historic cemetery for themselves, a printed walking tour guide is available at the Tioga County Historical Society Museum in Owego.
Wow, there's even a tour there. That'd be weird, right? To go there and you actually hear Native American like music playing and all that. That would be very spiritual.
I'm not
Here's
familiar with that.
a comment by Nona Boss is pretty interesting. She wrote, Eric, hospitals, prisons, and cemeteries are places of transition. But I wonder how long is technically what we consider a transition. Because a lot of these, like Wayne just mentioned, a lot of these prisons are shut down and they're still haunted. So does a ghost have an expired transition or is it, or they're just stuck?
Yeah. And like Danny there in the comments said that a lot of these people spent almost their entire life in prison, and that's the only home they know.
Right.
Yeah. Those people who went to prison at 17 on life sentence were there for 50 years, 60 years. It's the only home they know, so their spirits stay. Yeah. Yeah. There's people who there's stories of people who actually get out of prison at an old age and actually do something on purpose to go back because that's all they know.
Before I became a cop, I worked juvenile detention. That was my first gig, and there's people that they just become accustomed to that lifestyle. They don't know any better, and they can 3 hots and a cot. They're comfortable like that. It's crazy.
Yeah. I've seen the movie Shawshank Redemption. I know all about that.
It is. And I got one more video to show everybody. This one's called The Legendary Spooky Hollow Road. The Spooky Hollow Road. I like these haunted roads because that's places we could all drive to. If we live in that area. Now, since Anthony's in New York, he might be able one day to go to Evergreen, or shoot, when I go to New York in June, I might have to stop at Evergreen.
I think that's upstate New York.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm going to be in upstate New York. So this is the legend of the Spooky Hollow Road, America's most haunted highway.
Spooky Hollow Road, Ontario, Canada. This is 1.2 miles or 3.4 kilometers of incredibly eerie road. Some might say this is because it's so isolated, but after hearing about the gloomy legends associated with the road, you may think it lives up to its name. One legend tells of a peddler in the late 1800s or early 1900s that traveled the road and found himself tired and weary of carrying his belongings. He asked at a house for respite. This was given, but the peddler was never again seen traveling the road. Apparently, the house was seen to have black soot emerging from its chimney for the next few days. It is said that at night, you can see the ghost of the peddler walking Spooky Hollow Road, and if you come at midnight on Halloween and light a candle, you will be able to hear his screams. Another story tells of a motel at the edge of the forest, which received a guest who was subsequently slain and buried in the basement. His vengeful spirit burned the hotel to the ground. So, are these just urban legends, invented to scare travelers, or are there hidden remains of a strange old house and burnt-out motel close to the road? Creepy.
So, Wayne, if me and Anthony said, hey, we're going to take a road trip to Spooky Road, you want to go with us?
I think I would, as long as I'm not by myself, I was thinking like Spooky Hollow Road. I mean, you think that was the original name or somebody named it that after all this creepy crap started going on, but
Good question.
Hey, somebody in the chat, look that up. Type that in. Who invented the word Spooky Hollow Road? That's such a cool ass name.
Yeah, it is.
Spooky Hollow Road. Yeah, I would love to live on that road, or live on an Elm Street Road. Where I'm going to New York, where my wife's family is, they got a Dio Road because Dio's from their town of Cortland, like Dio Road. Cool. That's cool.
I did pest control for about 5 years, and I ran a route up in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Georgia, and had a couple customers on Devil's Den Road.
Oh, that's cool.
At the very end of Devil's Den, there's a huge Baptist church.
Very cool.
If you guys like to read books, Paranormal is recommending. There's a great book called The Trickster and the Paranormal that really explains it. You know that. I'm going to pop up in a second here. I'm going to pop this channel up. Where is it? So this is the Paranormal Odyssey channel. Now, do you still do Wayne? Do you guys still talk about Bigfoot on the other channel or anything?
Well, it's all Paranormal Odyssey. Yeah, I'm the founder of Manimal Research. I still do the Bigfoot research and all that stuff. I just got partnered up with Brian from Sasquatch Odyssey. Brian Sharp. I went on his show. He and I became pretty fast friends.
Cool.
And he offered me the chance to take over his Paranormal Odyssey podcast. So, I jumped on it. So I just moved everything over to the Paranormal Odyssey.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Because I still remember you've been on the channel and we were watching some of your videos and like some of those places where you guys are camping, and then all of suddenly, Anthony, I don't know if you know this, they were doing a Bigfoot research, and all of suddenly above them, military came. They have it on video. Military came, parked, and they said they weren't there for them, but they stayed the whole night keeping an eye on them, and they had it on video.
Yeah, that was so weird. I talked about that several times. They just rolled up, and this gentleman walks up, and he introduced himself. He's all polite and everything. We'll be here 30, 45 minutes tops. If they do their job out there, you won't even know they're here. And then we'll be out of your hair. Because we had heard all this rapid gunfire in the woods of Blue Ridge, Georgia, and they were doing military exercises, training exercises.
Okay.
This guy pulls up in a Humvee, gets out and explains to us what they're doing. If they do their job right, you'll never know they were here. We were here. And we'll be out of your hair 30, 45 minutes tops. Well, my ding-dong buddy decided to ask him and tell him what we were doing. Well, we're Bigfoot researchers. Have you guys experienced anything up there? And I swear to you, dude's whole demeanor changed. His face dropped. He got serious. He wasn't pleasant anymore. He cut the conversation off. He went over and he talked to somebody in the Humvee. And that 30 to 45 minutes max that they were supposed to stay turned into them getting out and gathering firewood and building a fire. They didn't have tents. They didn't have anything, sleeping bags. They sat in these fold-out chairs that they had on the Humvees. You can see in the pictures I shared that we're in this huge open field. There was plenty of room for these people to have their own space, but they stayed about 30, 40 yards away from us. They were loud. They were obnoxious. We had kids. There was a small child that was with us. They were out peeing out. There were women with us. They were peeing out. We're just out in the open. They did not want us there. It was supposed to be a 3-night expedition. We called it quits after that one, and we left. Yeah.
Wild. And it's always intriguing because they had the video of the military pulling up. I mean, it was there. It's like, wow, this is just not a story. This is like, wow, it was really happening.
Yeah. Oh, and to add to that, it was about a month or so after that, I interviewed Lyle Blackburn, I believe, on my channel, and he told the story of interviewing a guy who was retired military who did his training in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and they were given their field guide, and in their field guide it says what to do if you encounter a Sasquatch.
Wow.
That's the U.S. Army.
And why do you remember what it said? Did you happen to remember what it said?
Again, that was a friend of a friend kind of a thing, so I didn't get a chance to talk to the gentleman. But it came from one of the better known cryptozoologists in the world. Like Lyle Blackburn. He's got a great name. So this came from him.
I would love to know what that said.
I know it.
And let me pull this up here.
There I am.
You have a lot of live videos, and you said you did like a lot of interviews. Was there a certain interview that you would say was like one of your favorite or most spooky interview that you've done?
But done what I've been doing, what you're seeing there, what I've been doing a lot lately is these short stories, introducing people to different topics. That's where you kind of reached out to me with the whole Bandage Man thing of Cannon.
Cannon Beach, yeah.
That was one of the stories that I did. I had never heard of that. Being out in Oregon, I'm in Tennessee, so that's what I've been doing lately. But yeah, every Friday night I interview someone, and since I've taken over Paranormal Odyssey, it's been a little bit of everything. Back in the day, it was all strictly Bigfoot, but here recently, like I said, I've been interviewing some mediums, psychic mediums, paranormal investigators, Bigfoot guys, Dogman guys. I've done some really good ones lately. I'm trying to think.
Hey, this is why I love different channels, because when you mentioned the Bandage Man, I was like, Cannon Beach. I go to Cannon Beach every year.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about the Bandage Man, and I go there every year.
And I've got that pulled up here on another computer, and just under the Bandage Man, it's got the Lady of Cannon Beach. I wasn't familiar with her either, so I guess there's another. Have you heard of her, Eric?
Yeah, one of the videos that I played on Friday talked about the lady and the Bandage Man, the connection.
Yeah. That one that you're seeing there, Sloth Furnace, that one was really, really interesting. Anybody, if you have time, go check that one out. That's creepy as hell. A lot of the paranormal, like the big ghost teams, Ghost Adventures and TAPS and all them, they've done investigations from there, and most of them say that's one of the most haunted places they've ever been, and that's in Alabama.
And so that's what I love about you, because you do, you study Bigfoot, and now you're dabbling in the paranormal stuff. By any chance, do you dabble at all in UFOs, UAPs?
I've interviewed several people that have had some experiences with UFOs. Being the host of Paranormal Odyssey, I also release 2 episodes every week to podcast. You can get new episodes every Wednesday and Sunday. And about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I interviewed this lady, Dr. Lisa, I can't remember, Lisa Thompson. Yeah, Dr. Lisa Thompson. She lives in Hawaii on the Big Island, and she holds UFO excursions out there where she takes people out. I guess the sky, the sky's wide open out there. It's beautiful. But she shows people supposed, UFOs. And I asked her, what is your success rate on these things? And she said 100%. Every night that she goes out there, that she can show someone a UFO. And the stories that she shared were just amazing. She's actually coming on. She's going to be my guest this Friday night, 7:30 Eastern, Paranormal Odyssey on YouTube. And she's so interesting and amazing that I asked her to come on for a live show to share some more. The stuff that she shares is amazing. It really is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that would be interesting, because I'm back in my mind, and I'm not saying she's not real or not, but back in my mind, I'm always thinking to myself, it's hard to see a UFO that's I know undefined object, but like if you're maybe thinking it's from out of this world, that some people see more than another person. Like how can somebody see so much? Is it stretching it? Is it not? You know what I mean? It's very interesting to study people and watch how they tell the story and look at their body language. Because I always wonder, how come one person, like I said, like last time on a Bigfoot interview, like how come I saw Bigfoot one time in my life, never again? But some people see Bigfoot 8, 9 times. And then I start thinking to myself, are they telling the truth?
Yep.
Or are they just maybe have a paranormal connection with one of them? One of the interview you're going to hear this Saturday with Marty, Nona Boss, is about a connection. And that's all I'm going to say. It's a little bit different than Jeff's. Now, since you study all 3, Wayne, do you think that a Bigfoot can have some kind of a connection ability, like a medium, like some people can connect with them in a way?
Yeah. The same interview that I'm talking about, Dr. Lisa Thompson, she she says that she knows that that Bigfoot are aliens. I don't know how I feel about that. When I first started, my investigations 4 years ago, you could not convince me that Bigfoot was anything other than a biological creature. It's a North American primate that we just haven't caught up with yet. You couldn't convince me.
Right.
The more people I talk to, like her and the others that are seeing this weird stuff, everyone's not lying. Everyone's, not making this stuff up. And I asked her that same question that you were getting at. Why does some people tend to have more experiences than others? Like you said, you've seen it once. I've had one sighting since I've done this, but you talk to people that claim 10 times, people that's abducted 5 or 6 times. Like, why? And the way she explained it to me was, it's all about it's about energy. They can tell your intentions. If you're not intending to harm them, then they'll open themselves up to you. Is the way she explained it. Again, I don't know. I guess I'm a bad person because I've never experienced anything like that. They don't think I'm trustworthy or something. But I don't know. That's a great question. But I recommend anybody with a question like that, listen to that interview again. She's Dr.
Yeah.
Because I always feel myself, and I bet you Anthony feels this way, that we are open. We're friends. We want to learn more.
Certainly.
And you're like, if we feel this way and we're still not seeing as much as them, you know what I mean? It bugs you.
Yeah, and I've been talking a lot about telepathy with some of these people, because a lot of people say that the Bigfoot and aliens communicate telepathically, and it's silly I hate to admit it, but when I go out in the woods, especially when I first started, I've always got this what if in my mind. What if there's something to it? So I'll go out in the woods. I'll talk to myself, but to them. I'm like, okay, I'm not here to harm you. I'm thinking this. I'm not saying that. I'm not here to harm you. I just want to learn from you. If you would, just let me see you. I just want to see you for a second to know that you're real. All I want to do is learn from you. And that's me trying to communicate with them to let them know. I mean, does that work? I don't know. It hasn't yet. But there's always that what if factor,
Right.
Hey, people, if you guys are hearing like this noise outside my house, lucky day they're cutting trees across the street and stuff. So if you hear it's from me. My window's shut, but you know what I mean. I wish I could trap out that noise, but I apologize. And my dog is snoring beneath my feet at the same time. So I got all this noise. Because you know what, Wayne, bring up something interesting too, because I used to think the same way. Bigfoot's just a Bigfoot. There's no connections between aliens. There's no connections between the paranormal and them. But then you start listening to stories. You listen, like the Sea Squatchers when they were on my channel. They talked about that sometimes they see orbs around where there's supposed to be a Bigfoot sighting. Mm-hmm. That people are seeing a lot more now. Now more people are coming out saying that, yeah, I remember seeing like an orb color when we know there was a Bigfoot out there. Mm. So there could be a connection, but I mean, we don't know for sure. But
this lady, Dr. Lisa Thompson, she says that she can tell you the planet that they're from and the race and everything. She's a doctor, and you can tell when she talks. She's well spoken. She's a very, very intelligent lady, and that's something that kind of speaks to this community in general, paranormal, cryptids and stuff like this. 20, 30 years ago, a doctor wouldn't have come out and said the things that this woman says. One of my best friends in the world is Dr. John Baranchuk. He's a PhD psychologist with a PhD in neuroscience. He is the smartest man I've ever known. He's a member of my Bigfoot group. 20 years ago, we wouldn't have been friends. There's nothing that should make me. I mean, I barely graduated high school. He's got all these advanced degrees, and we're good friends. Bigfoot is the reason for that. This woman is coming out and talking about all this stuff that if her peers heard her say, I mean, they would laugh at her. But that's just how much the community's changed over the last 20 years. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Indeed. Anthony just just was on a UFO Man channel this weekend interviewing Avi Loeb, a scientist, about alien life. I mean, a scientist.
Yeah.
And you said 20 years ago, would they would have come out? Probably not, because they would really think they're crazy, even though some people probably think that now. But Anthony, when you talk to Avi Loeb, I mean, what was the main thing you learned from that interview? Like, what was the number one thing you learned from that interview with Avi Loeb?
Well, Avi is a Harvard University astrophysicist, and he's in charge of the Galileo project. He put that together to search for extraterrestrial life outside our solar system, and he devised this Galileo project because when this space rock came in Oumuamua through Hawaii and it was picked up on our observatories, it did not fly like a regular meteorite, meaning when it passed the sun, it changed its trajectory. And it did not have a cometary tail or anything like that. There was nothing burning off of it. So he believed that it was an extraterrestrial scout ship that passed our atmosphere, and it changed its trajectory, and it actually slowed down instead of picking up speed as it came through. And talking about a Harvard astrophysicist, those guys back in the day would never touch a subject like this. And now we see Harvard astrophysicists saying that, life is very much possible, and we are definitely being visited by extraterrestrial life. And I find that fascinating. And having the opportunity to have someone speak like that to me, just, a regular layman, ufologist, it was an honor. That's a big step, working hand in hand with a Harvard astrophysicist and just a regular guy studying the subject on his own. So we're moving into the right direction, I think, finally.
Yeah. Now, what about she brings up this. I personally believe that they are flesh and blood, but they have interdimensional abilities. What do you guys think of that when you hear dimensional abilities? Do you guys think that's possible?
As far as Sasquatch goes, Eric, I think that I think that Sasquatch is a flesh and blood animal, yes, but I think I don't think it's interdimensional or telepathic or anything like that. I just think there's very few of them still around. I think it's a species that's going extinct, and we run into them. They're few and far between, and they know how to stay secluded. So when we do run into one, it's a big, astonishing breakthrough, but we don't see them a lot because there probably aren't very many left worldwide. And I think that's what's going on. And we had the same problem back in the 60s with gorillas too. They were killing gorillas by the tens of thousands, taking their hands and making ashtrays out of their hands and feet. And then slowly scientific communities came in and they started protecting the species. I think if we start protecting Sasquatch and get species protection for them, you'll start to see them coming back in droves. But we have to do something before we're all wiped out. That's
the problem with that is that means the government would have to come out and admit that they're real to even say we're going to protect, because you can't protect something that most people.
Well, you know what, Eric? I'm tired of waiting for the government to do everything. So we as civilians can do this on our own. There's a lot of money to go around. You can hire private companies to do these things privately, and you probably do the job even better. And I'm telling you, you would do a way better job if you did it privately funded than asking the government to do anything for you. That's how I look at it.
I agree.
That's a good point. Now, Wayne, have you ever heard of the famous UFO story of Travis Walton?
Yes, sir. The what was that movie? Fire in the Sky.
Fire in the Sky, and there's a reason why I'm bringing this up, because Anthony right there, Wayne, right above us, will be joining UFO Man interviewing Travis Walton through a UFO con out there, Roswell area. Really? They're actually going to be interviewing him through a big conference and all that.
UFO Expo.
And that's coming up this March 11th.
March 11th, 9
that's
p.m.
5 days.
I can't wait, man. You have no idea. This is going to be awesome.
Good for you, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, but don't get me wrong, Brown Dwarf. I'm no Sasquatch expert. I'm only giving you my personal opinion. I could be totally wrong. They could very much speak to you telepathically. They could very well be from another planet. I just think by the way they look and how we see them, I think it's another form of being that we just have not yet classified yet. That's what I think they are, but I could be wrong.
Well, anybody who says they know, come on, they don't know.
Yeah,
it's all speculation. We're all,
yeah,
and it's not like one of us has a Bigfoot in their backyard.
right.
Talking to them like
I
Harry
wish I did.
If they do, fantastic.
But I go by Jeff's story from Pine Island Research, right? If you take Jeff's story, he stood there in front of the animal and then it threw a log at him. Those are characteristics of what animals with hands can do. The animal didn't dematerialize and vanish. It actually followed him out to the shoreline to see where it was going. And then it picked that fish up that the bear dropped off the shoreline and ate it. If it was something that could dematerialize and go into a different dimension or whatever, not to be seen, I think it would have done that way out in the woods while they were together alone, instead of coming out so more people could see it. But then again, what do I know? It's all secondhand stories and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's all we have.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's all we have. And guys, let me just share this one screen so people know what we're talking about. We're talking about Jeff's story. Let me just show. Where is it? We did an interview with them, and we premiered it Friday. Bigfoot encounter seen by Jeff Harding of Pine Island Research. So, oops, my fault. I'm just copying and pasting it. So if you guys did not see that interview on his Bigfoot counter, I'm going to put it. Actually, you know what? You guys weren't seeing what I was showing. So here we go. I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize I wasn't showing this. So that was the one we premiered Saturday. Bigfoot encounter seen by Jeff Harding of Pine Island Research. And what's cool about hearing these stories is when you listen to his story, and then when you listen to Nolan Boss's story this Saturday, they're like totally different of an encounter. But that's the beautiful thing is not everybody's encounter is exactly the same. And it's and like he says, as of right now, that's all we really have to go by, right? I mean, yeah. I know I've seen one, like you said, when you've seen one, but beyond that, we don't have. Even somebody has DNA, we don't even know if that DNA is real or not, because who's gonna pay for it, who's gonna produce it, and the company who does the DNA of a Bigfoot, how do we even know they're gonna say the truth? Most of the thing they'll say is, yes, there is something identifying that we found this DNA. That doesn't mean it's a Bigfoot, but that's the only thing you'll get from a DNA test, unless you have DNA from like 7 or 8 different Bigfoots to do a comparison, because a DNA is a comparison. Like we do a family tree. Well, I don't know what they call the 1, 2, 3s or ancestors. To know your family history on it, your family themselves also have to do the DNA to have traces. But there's got to be DNA there from previously to even have a true DNA test. So yeah. Who knows when we'll ever get where everybody will say, "Oh, you know what? That's enough. That is true. We got enough."
You're familiar with the Melba Ketchum?
I heard of it.
Yeah, that was the study that she did. And Melba Ketchum was a very respected in her field. She had been called as an expert witness many times. She's a doctor, I think, in veterinary medicine. I could be mistaken, but she'd been called to testify many, many times in open court. They don't just let dummies do that. They don't just let anybody do that. You are at the top of your field if you're asked to testify in a court case. Well, she put together this project, I forget what it was called, with several samples, DNA samples, and over many years of studying, she came back with the mitochondrial DNA, which comes from the mother, as human. The paternal comes from the father as unidentified. So you have half human from the mother's side, and the father's side, they don't know. That's what she claimed. Well, when she released this, it rocked everything. The woman can't get a job now. Her reputation's ruined. She can't do anything anymore, all because she exposed this. So that's what we're dealing with when it comes to government and science.
Crazy.
And well, when will be the day when everybody would collide together on it, you know.
But as you said it perfectly, Eric. Until we have a specimen, until we have a body, it's eyewitness encounters. Shows like yours, Anthony, mine, shows where we talk to people that have seen these things. That's how we start putting the pieces together.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Because, you know, even if somebody technically say they have one, there's still, and you know it's 100% real, and you're always going to have people saying that's all fake, no matter what. Even when you have the most realist 100% in front of you, some people will not accept it.
Yep.
They just
unfortunately.
I got to have footage of two of them mating in my front yard, and somebody's going to say it's a hoax. It's
True.
me and my wife in an ape suit or something.
So true.
Yeah, and I've said this before. A lot of people won't accept any truth until it happens to them.
Yep.
Until it happens to them, none of it's real. That's I always say, like you said earlier, Wayne. But tell yourself, what if? Yeah. If you go with that mind frame, what if? What you learn from these channels might help you out. You know, it's fine to be a skeptic. Everybody should be a skeptic somewhat. Everybody should. You should question everybody.
Question everything.
You should question everything, you know. But sometimes you still might want to listen because you never know if you're going to be in that situation. Because what if myself or Anthony goes in the exact same position where Jeff Harding was at? You know, one of the things Jeff gave a good answer to, because I was asking him, like, what you know now, would you done something differently when you're at that spot of that encounter? And he said, what did he say, Anthony? He said that he believes that because he didn't know is probably what saved him, because Bigfoot knows this guy is just, he doesn't know when I exist. He knows now he's going to feel my presence. He's going to get the hell out of here.
Yep.
Wow. So, you know, who knows? So you said you do a couple shows a week. So when's your next one coming on your channel? And I think your channel was already in the link, and I'll make sure it's in the description. Someone can put his channel again in the link. I appreciate it, people. So what's next? Now you say you got the interview with that person coming up. Is that your next show of the interview?
My next live show this Friday night right here on YouTube. That's Dr. Linda Thompson. Will be Friday night, 7:30 Eastern, on my channel, Paranormal Odyssey. But the podcast, anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, well, all of them, Spotify, all of them.
Is that about your normal time on live shows on Fridays? About that same time?
Yeah, every Friday night, 7:30. The podcast, I release 2 episodes Wednesday and Sunday. They drop around midnight the night before. All my shows are about an hour long. Interview a wide array of people. If it's weird, I talk about it.
Yeah. See, I think for us, you should move it up like an hour. A lot of times at that exact same time, we're Anthony and I, sometimes we join Cosmic Neighbors.
On
our channel. We go on his channel. You guys are playing at the exact same time.
Oh, my fault. Sorry about that.
No. But that's what the replay is. It's all right to watch replays and that's why you leave comments. You know, if you're not in the chat, leave a comment. And I bet you, Wayne, I'm sure you check your comments and you probably answer people if they have questions and all
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
And all that.
Yeah, you know what I've noticed was when I was doing strictly Bigfoot, I was building my channel on my live shows. I was having a good audience every episode. And then when I switched it to paranormal to cover everything, it hit the bottom. I had like 2 or 3 people that hung on and everybody else left. So I'm slowly building it back up.
Yeah.
The people I had were diehard Bigfoot. They didn't want to hear anything.
Damn it. I knew I'd make it on time. Sorry, guys.
Ron. You're early.
You know, Wayne, you are 100% right. See, we're doing it all wrong. I'm doing it all wrong. They say if you want to make it on YouTube, you should pick the one main subject and stick with it. And when you do a variety, a lot of people don't like varieties. Hardcore people only want Bigfoot. Hardcore people only want paranormal. Hardcore people only want UFO. It's a very little, like to find people we have in this chat that are willing to listen to all of it. And the thing is, I don't know why people don't want to listen to everything because you never know what situation to be in. Listen, we said on this show, we had friends in the paranormal that was out on research. They actually, according to them, they ran into a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Some of them went into a Bigfoot hunt. They ran into some paranormal sounds and red eyes and stuff. And some went and saw UFOs during these trips. So why would you not want to surround yourself? But we live in the world that most people only want one community, one subject over and over again.
Yeah, I cover all three, and I enjoy covering all three. My channel does very well covering all three.
Send some people my way, man.
Yeah, I'm not going to bend the knee just to please a couple people. I'm going to do what I like, and those that want to watch could come watch.
Amen.
Yeah, I talk about asteroids when I want, and how you doing, Wayne? Pleasure to meet you, bud.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
It's Ron.
And my apologies, Eric and Anthony.
Wait, let me tell you about Ron. Sometimes when you watch his channel, you better take some brain pills because when he gets on science and stuff, it's like, holy cow! I don't know what the fuck he's saying.
Your head hurts. Your head hurts when you're done watching. You're definitely gonna learn something.
But that's what's great about Ron. You really learn the science side of things. A lot of times we talk about ghosts or UFOs, and I ask Ron about the science part of it. Like what can this be explained another way? It's just another good way to try to find the truth, right? Like, what can make this footage real or not? Yep. That's what's Ron is awesome.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I'm good friends with the doctor, Dr. John Barenchak. He's the smartest man I've ever known, but he has this way of explaining things that dumbs it down for people like me. I can understand it, and that's a quality not everybody has.
No,
you're absolutely right. I love that. You got to dumb it down a little bit because I don't even understand what you're saying. Listen,
that's not the vocabulary I use when I'm talking about. I don't say that, but that's what I try to do.
Wait,
I don't know how to put it in layman's terms.
It was a Saturday, and Ron was talking the science thing that way over my head. You know what I did, Wayne? I grabbed my 18-year-old son to come down here to speak for me because my son is into this 100% because I was lost.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I was lost.
No.
And my son, actually, when my son explains it, he has that gift in a way to talk in a way like dumb it down a little bit to make it where, okay, I get it. Because some of these words are so freaking out there and like, what the hell does that word mean?
I'm in the same boat, man. I'm with you.
Well, Wayne, I appreciate you jumping on with us and all that. And you said a lot of times Mondays you're free. If you ever see a topic that we bring up or something, please jump on because
I'll do that, man.
You have knowledge of Bigfoot sightings. Now you're dealing with the paranormal and some UFOs. You tribute to a conversation.
Yeah.
And I hope you learned something about the haunting of Connecticut.
I did. I appreciate that. I'll be talking about it soon.
But I have to say that movie sucks. that movie does suck very bad. Look at that dog.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Oh, hold on. We gotta make that dog a little bigger.
That little Shih Tzu?
Yeah, Max, look over here. Wait, this way. Yeah.
How old is that dog now? Like 6 months?
He's 4.
4?
4 years old. Yeah.
Wow, that is
every morning now. We got Emmy. She's over there looking for food. She wakes me up by scratching the door at like 7 a.m. and he bursts in to jump up on the bed so he could give me a kiss and then look out the window for 3 hours. Okay.
Well, stick around, guys. I'll talk guys behind the scenes, but everybody in chat, thank you guys for being here today. That's awesome. The next show I'll be on, it'll be on Anthony's show this Wednesday, 10 p.m. 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 o'clock Eastern. And what's your subject for this Wednesday?
Bigfoot.
Oh, is it Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Actually, I just got your screen up here. Hold on a second. Let me bring it up. There we go. Bigfoot, hide and seek.
The hide and seek champ.
Oh, nobody can see it. There it is. Sorry. That's weird. On mine, when I do that, it automatically comes up. on your StreamYard, I actually have to do the bottom again. I have to learn that. Bigfoot. Is there a certain thing about it, or we're just gonna talk about like how they hide so well that?
Yeah, we're gonna take a whole bunch of stories and dive into them.
That's awesome.
And
then,
tomorrow,
Ron, you
just
got
so you
yours
know,
coming up on Wednesday.
No, we got Space Oak, but tomorrow morning at 11:45 a.m.
NASA.
I'm going to be covering the NASA because they're going to be talking about the Artemis mission, their findings on the mission.
Finally.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's going to be at 11:45 a.m. They probably start talking around noon, and it shouldn't take long at all. Probably be over. You're on tomorrow, right? Eric, right?
No,
you're
I
not
do
on tomorrow.
recording behind the scenes stuff for Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays.
Okay. All right.
Tomorrow's my
So then-
reporting behind the scenes.
Gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
11:45 tomorrow morning.
Do you think if they found something very, 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 very interesting, they would even tell you by any chance?
No.
You
I just had to ask.
Is that what she means? Cosmic Neighbors just posted 5-week puppies, same cute breed. I guess her dog had puppies or something. I'm looking for a puppy. If anybody's getting rid of puppies, I'm looking for a Yorkie.
A little Yorkie.
Yeah, my baby died last year.
And we're gonna end this show, guys, with the intro. I start to begin the show because I still haven't changed the song on my ending because that's copyrighted by Canva. That I'm not gonna go through that with Canva again. Those bastards. But here's it here. Well, see you guys later. Yo, Eric, we're over here on the Paranormal Hunt, and I headed over to this other building, and it's number 13. I was just telling Ron, my God,